it takes to get his stitches through. Donatello is a fellow, has a way with machines. Raphael's got the most attitude on the team. Michelangelo, he's one of a kind. And you know this where to find it when it's party time. That's a splinter out of every single skill they need to be one lean, mean, greedy, credible team. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in the half shell. Turtle power.
Rainforests are forests characterized by a closed and continuous tree canopy, moisture-dependent vegetation, the presence of epiphytes and lianas, and the absence of wildfire. Rainforests can be generally classified as tropical rainforests or temperate rainforests, but other types have been described. Estimates vary from 40% to 75% of all biotic species being indigenous to the rainforest. There may be many millions of species of plants, insects, and microorganisms still undiscovered in tropical rainforests. Tropical rainforests have been called the jewels of the earth and the world's largest pharmacy, because over 1/4 of natural medicines have been discovered there. Rainforests, as well as endemic rainforest species, are rapidly disappearing due to deforestation, the resulting habitat loss and pollution of the atmosphere. Rainforests are Earth's oldest living ecosystems, with some surviving in their present form for at least 70 million years. They are incredibly diverse and complex, home to more than half of the world's plant and animal species, even though they cover just 6% of Earth's surface. Gorillas are herbivorous, predominantly ground-dwelling great apes that inhabit the tropical forests of equatorial Africa. The genus gorilla is divided into two species, the eastern gorilla and the western gorilla, and either 4 or 5 subspecies. The DNA of gorillas is highly similar to that of humans, from 95 to 99% depending on what is included, and they are the next closest living relatives to humans after chimpanzees and bonobos. Gorillas are the largest living primates, reaching heights between 1.25 and 1.8 meters, weights between 100 and 270 kilograms, and arm spans up to 2.6 meters, depending on species and sex. They tend to live in troops, with the leader being called a silverback. The eastern gorilla is distinguished from the western by darker fur color and some other minor morphological differences. Gorillas tend to live 35 to 40 years in the wild. Gorillas' natural habitats cover tropical or subtropical forest in sub-Saharan Africa, although their range covers a small percentage of sub-Saharan Africa. Gorillas cover a wide range of elevations. The mountain gorilla inhabits the Albertine Rift montane cloud forests of the Virunga volcanoes, ranging in altitude from 2,100 to 4,300 meters 7,200 to 14,100 feet. Lowland gorillas live in dense forests and lowland swamps and marshes as low as sea level, with western lowland gorillas living in central West African countries and eastern lowland gorillas living in the Democratic Republic of the Congo near its border with Rwanda. There are thought to be around 316,000 western gorillas in the wild and 5,000 eastern gorillas. Both species are classified as critically endangered by the IUCN. All subspecies are classified as critically endangered with the exception of the mountain gorilla, which is classified as endangered. There are many threats to their survival, such as poaching, habitat destruction, and disease, which threaten the survival of the species. However, conservation efforts have been successful in some areas where they live. The word gorilla comes from the history of Hanno the Navigator c. 500 BC, a Carthaginian explorer on an expedition to the West African coast to the area that later became Sierra Leone. Members of the expedition encountered savage people, the greater part of whom were women, whose bodies were hairy, and whom our interpreters called gorilli. Parrots cetaciforms, also known as citizens, are birds with a strong curved beak, upright stance, and clawed feet. They are conformed by 4 families that contain roughly 410 species in 101 genera, found mostly in tropical and subtropical regions. The 4 families are the Cetaceolidae Old World parrots, Cetacidae African and New World parrots, Cacatuidae cockatoos, and Strigopidae New Zealand parrots. 1/3 of all parrot species are threatened by extinction, with a higher aggregate extinction risk IUCN Red List Index than any other comparable bird group. Parrots have a generally pantropical distribution, with several species inhabiting temperate regions as well. The greatest diversity of parrots is in South America and Australasia. Parrots, along with ravens, crows, jays, and magpies, are among the most intelligent birds, and the ability of some species to imitate human speech enhances their popularity as pets. They form the most variably sized bird order in terms of length. Many are vividly colored and some multicolored. Most parrots exhibit little or no sexual dimorphism in the visual spectrum. The most important components of most parrots' diets are seeds, nuts, fruit, buds, and other plant material. A few species sometimes eat animals and carrion, while the lories and lorikeets are specialized for feeding on floral nectar and soft fruits. Almost all parrots nest in tree hollows or nest boxes in captivity, and lay white eggs from which hatch or trishul helpless young. Trapping wild parrots for the pet trade, as well as hunting, habitat loss, and competition from invasive species, has diminished wild populations, with parrots being subjected to more exploitation than any other group of wild birds. As of 2021, about 50 million parrots, half of all parrots, live in captivity, with the vast majority of these living as pets in people's homes. Measures taken to conserve the habitats of some high-profile charismatic species have also protected many of the less charismatic species living in the same ecosystems. Parrots are the only creatures that display true tripedalism, using their necks and beaks as limbs with propulsive forces equal to or greater than those forces generated by the forelimbs of primates when climbing vertical surfaces. They can travel with cyclical tropedal gaits when climbing. Parrots are found on all tropical and subtropical continents and regions, including Australia and Oceania, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central America, South America, and Africa. Some Caribbean and Pacific islands are home to endemic species. By far the greatest number of parrot species come from Australasia and South America. The lories and lorikeets range from Sulawesi and the Philippines in the north to Australia, and across the Pacific as far as French Polynesia. With the greatest diversity being found in and around New Guinea, the subfamily Orhini encompasses all the neotropical parrots, including the Amazons, macaws, and conures, and ranges from northern Mexico and the Bahamas to Tierra del Fuego in the southern tip of South America. The pygmy parrots, tribe Micropsitinae, form a small genus restricted to New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. The superfamily Strigopoidea contains 3 living species of apparent parrots from New Zealand. The broad-tailed parrots, subfamily Platycercinae, are restricted to Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands as far eastwards as Fiji. The true parrot superfamily, Psittacoidea, includes a range of species from Australia and New Guinea to South Asia and Africa. Sloths are a neotropical group of xenithran mammals constituting the suborder Pholivora, including the extant arboreal tree sloths and extinct terrestrial ground sloths. Noted for their slowness of movement, tree sloths spend most of their lives hanging upside down in the trees of the tropical rainforests of South America and Central America. Sloths are considered to be most closely related to anteaters, together making up the xenithran order Pilosa. Sloths are so named because of their very low metabolism and deliberate movements. Sloth, related to slow, literally means laziness, and their common names in several other languages, for example German, Faultier, French, Paresu, Spanish, Perezoso, Romanian, lean, Finnish, Paskianen also mean lazy or similar. Their slowness permits their low-energy diet of leaves and avoids detection by predatory hawks and cats that hunt by sight. Sloths are almost helpless on the ground, but are able to swim. The shaggy coat has grooved hair that is host to symbiotic green algae which camouflage the animal in the trees and provided nutrients. There are 6 extant sloth species in 2 genera Brodiopus, 3-toed sloths, and Corypus, 2-toed sloths. Despite this traditional naming, all sloths have 3 toes on each rear limb, although 2-toed sloths have only 2 digits on each forelimb. The 2 groups of sloths are from different, distantly related families, and are thought to have evolved their morphology via parallel evolution from terrestrial ancestors. Around 12,000 years ago, along with most large-bodied animals in the New World, the extinction correlates in time with the arrival of humans, but climate change has also been suggested to have contributed. Members of an endemic radiation of Caribbean sloths also formerly lived in the Greater Antilles but became extinct after humans settled the archipelago in the mid-Holocene, around 6,000 years ago. American toads breed in early spring in Philadelphia, usually in April. Males arrive first at ponds and along the banks of creeks. It begins in March or April when the toads arrive at shallow, freshwater pools. Males grasp the females around the belly in order to fertilize the eggs as they are laid. Between 4,000 - 12,000 eggs are laid in long parallel strands. A frog is any member of a diverse and largely carnivorous group of short-bodied, tailless amphibians composing the order Anuruan, literally without tail in ancient Greek. The oldest fossil, proto-frog Tridobatrachus, is known from the early Triassic of Madagascar, but molecular clock dating suggests their split from other amphibians may extend further back to the Permian, 265 million years ago. Frogs are widely distributed, ranging from the tropics to subarctic regions, but the greatest concentration of species diversity is in tropical rainforest. An adult frog has a stout body, protruding eyes, anteriorly attached tongue, limbs folded underneath, and no-tail. The tail of tailed frogs is an extension of the male cloaca. Frogs have glandular skin, with secretions ranging from distasteful to toxic. Their skin varies in color from well-camouflaged dappled brown, gray and green, to vivid patterns of bright red or yellow and black to show toxicity and ward off predators. Frogs typically lay their eggs in water. The eggs hatch into aquatic larvae called tadpoles that have tails and internal gills. They have highly specialized grasping mouth parts suitable for herbivorous, omnivorous, or planktivorous diets. The life cycle is completed when they metamorphose into adults. A few species deposit eggs on land or bypass the tadpole stage. Adult frogs generally have a carnivorous diet consisting of small invertebrates, but omnivorous species exist and a few feed on plant matter. Frog skin has a rich microbiome which is important to their health. Frogs are extremely efficient at converting what they eat into body mass. They are an important food source for predators and part of the food-web dynamics of many of the world's ecosystems. The skin is semi-permeable, making them susceptible to dehydration, so they either live in moist places or have special adaptations to deal with dry habitats. Frogs produce a wide range of vocalizations, particularly in their breeding season, and exhibit many different kinds of complex behaviors to attract mates, to fend off predators, and to generally survive. Lemurs share resemblance with other primates, but evolved independently from monkeys and apes. Due to Madagascar's highly seasonal climate, lemur evolution has produced a level of species diversity rivaling that of any other primate group. Lemurs range in weight from the 30-gram one as mouse lemur to the 9-kilogram 20-pound indri. Since the arrival of humans on the island around 2,000 years ago, over a dozen species of giant lemurs larger than living lemur species have become extinct, including the gorilla-sized organisms. Lemurs share many common basal primate traits, such as divergent digits on their hands and feet. As with all strepsirrhine primates, they have a wet nose, rhinarium. Lemurs are generally the most social of the strepsirrhine primates, and communicate more with scents and vocalizations than with visual signals. Lemurs have a relatively low basal metabolic rate, and as a result may exhibit dormancy such as hibernation or torpor. Lemur research during the 18th and 19th centuries focused on taxonomy and specimen collection. Modern studies of lemur ecology and behavior did not begin in earnest until the 1950s and 1962, initially hindered by political issues on Madagascar during the mid-1970s. Field studies resumed in the 1980s. Lemurs are important for research because their mix of ancestral characteristics and traits shared with anthropoid primates can yield insights on primate and human evolution. Most species have been discovered or promoted to full species status since the 1990s. However, lemur taxonomic classification is controversial and depends on which species concept is used. Many lemur species remain endangered due to habitat loss and hunting. Although local traditions such as Fadi generally help protect lemurs and their forests, illegal logging, economic privation and political instability conspire to thwart conservation efforts. Because of these threats and their declining numbers, the International Union for Conservation of Nature IUCN considers lemurs to be the world's most endangered mammals. Lemurs have facilitated the emergence of ecotourism in Madagascar in World Heritage Sites, such as the rainforests of the Atsinana in eastern Madagascar. In addition, conservation organizations, such as the Lemur Conservation Foundation and the Duke Lemur Center, increasingly seek to implement community-based approaches, such as encouraging local communities to adopt sustainable agriculture. Although the term lemur was first intended for slender lorises, It was soon limited to the endemic Malagasy primates, which have been known as lemurs ever since, according to Linnaeus' own explanation. Snakes are elongated, limbless, carnivorous reptiles of the suborder Serpentes serpentes. Too, like all other squamates, snakes are ectothermic, amniote vertebrates covered in overlapping scales. Many species of snakes have skulls with several more joints than their lizard ancestors, enabling them to swallow prey much larger than their head's craniokinesis. To accommodate their narrow bodies, snakes bear organs such as kidneys appear one in front of the other instead of side by side, and most have only one functional lung. Some species retain a pelvic girdle with a pair of vestigial claws on either side of the cloaca. Lizards have independently evolved elongate bodies without limbs, or with greatly reduced limbs at least 25 times via convergent evolution, leading to many lineages of legless lizards. Living snakes are found on every continent except Antarctica, and on most smaller land masses. Exceptions include some large islands such as Ireland, Iceland, Greenland, the Hawaiian archipelago, and the islands of New Zealand, as well as many small islands of the Atlantic and Central Pacific Oceans. Additionally, sea snakes are widespread throughout the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Around 30 families are currently recognized, comprising about 520 genera and about 3,900 species. Monkey is a common name that may refer to most mammals of the infraorder Simiiformes, also known as the simians. Traditionally, all animals in the group now known as simians are counted as monkeys except the apes. Thus, monkeys, in that sense, constitute an incomplete paraphyletic grouping. However, in the broader sense based on cladistics, apes hominoidea are also included, making the terms monkeys and simians synonyms in regard to their scope. Many monkey species are tree-dwelling arboreal, although there are species that live primarily on the ground, such as baboons. Most species are mainly active during the day diurnal. Monkeys are generally considered to be intelligent, especially the Old World monkeys. Apes emerged within monkeys as sister of the Cercopithecidae in the Catarrhini, so cladistically they are monkeys as well. However, there has been resistance to directly designate apes and thus humans as monkeys. So, Old World monkey may be taken to mean either the Cercopithecidae not including apes or the Catarrhini including apes. That apes are monkeys was already realized by Georges Louis Leclerc, Comte de Buffon in the 18th century. Linnaeus placed this group in 1758 together with the tarsiers in a single genus Simia sans homo, an ensemble now recognized as the Haplorini. Within suborder Haplorini, the simians are a sister group to the tarsiers. The two members diverged some 70 million years ago. 11 New World monkeys and Catarrhine monkeys emerged within the simians roughly 35 million years ago. Old World monkeys and apes emerged within the Catarrhine monkeys about 25 million years ago. Old World monkeys and apes emerged within the Catarrhine monkeys about 25 million years ago. Extinct basal simians such as Egyptopithecus or Parapithecus 32 million years ago are also considered monkeys by primatologists. Lemurs, lorises, and galagos are not monkeys, but strepsirrhine primates suborder Strepsirrhini, the simian sister group. The tarsiers are also haplorhine primates. However, they are also not monkeys. Toucans Tarcan, UK, Cayenne are neotropical members of the near-passerine bird family Ramphastidae. The Ramphastidae are most closely related to the American barbets. They are brightly marked and have large, often colorful bills. The family includes 5 genera and over 40 different species. Toucans are arboreal and typically lay 2 to 4 white eggs in their nests. They make their nests in tree hollows and holes excavated by other animals, such as woodpeckers. The toucan bill has very limited use as an excavation tool. When the eggs hatch, the young emerge completely naked, without any down. Toucans are resident breeders and do not migrate. Toucans are usually found in pairs or small flocks. They sometimes fence with their bills and wrestle, which scientists hypothesize they do to establish dominance hierarchies. In Africa and Asia, hornbills occupy the toucan's ecological niche, an example of convergent evolution. In nature, toucans rhamphastos spp eat mostly fruit, but also consume insects, rodents, and invertebrates. Like miners, preferred food items in the wild include fruits, a variety of insects, and small reptiles and amphibians. The tiger Panthera tigris is the largest living cat species, and a member of the genus Panthera. It is most recognizable for its black stripes on orange fur with a white underside. An apex predator, it primarily preys on ungulates, such as deer and wild boar. It is territorial and generally a solitary but social predator. The tiger was first scientifically described in 1758. It once ranged widely from the eastern Anatolia region in the west to the Alamo River basin in the east, and in the south from the foothills of the Himalayas to Bali and the Sunda Islands. Since the early 20th century, tiger populations have lost at least 93% of their historic range and have been extirpated from Western and Central Asia. The islands of Java and Bali, and in large areas of Southeast and South Asia and China. What remains of the range where tigers still roam free is fragmented, stretching in spots from Siberian temperate forests to subtropical and tropical forests on the Indian subcontinent, Indochina, and a single Indonesian island, Sumatra. The tiger is listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. India hosts the largest tiger population. Major reasons for population decline are habitat destruction, habitat fragmentation, and poaching. Tigers are also victims of human-wildlife conflict due to encroachment in countries with a high human population density. The tiger is among the most recognizable and popular of the world's charismatic megafauna. It featured prominently in the ancient mythology and folklore of cultures throughout its historic range, and continues to be depicted in modern films and literature, appearing on many flags, coats of arms, and as mascots for sporting teams. The tiger is the national animal of India, Bangladesh, Malaysia, and South Korea. There are only approximately around 4,500 tigers left in the wild, according to the WWF, although some estimates put the number even lower. The most immediate threat to wild tigers is poaching, although some countries have limited resources for protecting areas where tigers live. A rainforest is an important and natural part of the environment, as it can give us oxygen and breath in carbon dioxide, and can help the environment, and are considered the lungs of the environment. Animals have many advantages and helpful resources for our survival, so we should protect them.